So good morning, students. So I'm gonna wait for people to join in. Just a couple of minutes. And once they join, let's start. Okay. So today lockdown is been further extended by a couple of more days. So you'll be sitting at home for 15 more days, or probably 20 more days, or probably one more month. So let us just focus on studies then. Okay. So okay. So people have started joining in. So let us start without any delay. So in our previous class, we have completed 15 questions, and those were probably the easier questions in this particular chapter. Now we will have from question number 16 to question number 50. That is, we have around 30 more additional questions. So let us try to complete as much as possible quickly. So now let us go to question number 16. So before we start, as usual, I want you to have your material and I want you to go through your material. Okay. So material page number is 118 and page number is 16. So in this class, at least I don't want you to ask from where to get the material. I've been telling from all the past classes, where do you get the material? Usually it will be in the description box. So even in this video, it should be available in the description box. If it is not available, then go for the previous video. There it is available in the description box. All right. So question number 16. So what is question number 16? This is a very easier question, and I'm just going to brush through it. The question is, each participant should have policies, practices, and procedure in place to protect from e-commerce, m-commerce related risk. Explain this statement. Now, whenever we are talking about e-commerce, first thing we have to understand is we are using internet. Whenever we are using internet, there are a lot of risk. For example, there could be hacking, there could be somebody trying to access my system, somebody is trying to order some goods and services without making any payment. So there are so many risks. So the question is, what are the policies that you can put in place? Okay, I repeat the question. Each participant. Now, in e-commerce, who are and all the participants? There could be e-commerce vendor, that is Amazon and Flipkart, or there could be customer, that is you, or there could be other participants like the logistic provider, the delivery guys, or there could be technology provider. So everybody should be aware of their role. So first thing is, how can you bring in policies? First thing is, you have to educate the staff, that is educate the users. Next one is you have to educate the customers. Next, you need to ensure compliance with the regulatory bodies. Next one is protect your e-commerce business from intrusion, that is from viruses, from hackers. Very simple question. Let us not waste any time in this question, because there are some technical questions coming up. This next question is a technical question. Let us understand that. The question is very simple. The question says, list a few control consideration in managing key cybersecurity risk in e-commerce. Let me share the screen as well, so that you can see my what I'm seeing in my screen. Once again. Okay. So the question is, list a few control consideration in managing key cybersecurity risk in e-commerce. Now, how do you have to understand this question? Let me give an example to you. Let us say that they appoint you. Okay. So one e-commerce company appoints you and they say, you are a chartered accountant, you are a person with lot of knowledge and skills. So can you help us? Can you help us in tackling our uh, cybersecurity risk? So now, how are you going to help them? Okay. Uh, just one second. Okay. So I repeat the question. I just got diverted for a bit. So the question is, list a few control consideration managing key cybersecurity risk in e-commerce. So e-commerce company, let us say Amazon hires you and they say, you are a chartered accountant, help us to manage our cybersecurity risk. So what are you going to tell them? Forget Amazon. Let us say that one bank appoints you and they say, help us to protect our bank. So what are you going to say? So you are going to see whether bank security is proper, how many security guards are there, whether CCTV camera is there or not, whether the staffs are properly trained or not, whether they use password, whether customers are trained or not. So all these things you take into consideration. Same way, if you have to do, if you have to uh, put in cyber security in e-commerce, what are the things that you are going to consider? First thing is you will tell them that there has to be proper definition of network diagrams, that is how one system is connected to another system, then whether digital assets are properly numbered or not, so that one staff cannot take company's asset and go outside. Next is you see whether there is proper policies and procedures. Next is you see the periodical review of access rights. Now let us say that there is one manager today and you have given him some access to the system, and tomorrow he does some fraud and you fire him. Now when you fire him, you also have to revoke the access what he has, so that once he goes out of the organization, he should not have any access to the system. Very easy points. Communication of all IT security policy to all staffs. Now who drafts this policy? The senior level management drafts these policies. Now these policies has to be communicated to the staffs. It should not remain in the management's the drawer itself. So you see that whether all the policies are communicated to the employees or not. So this is a very, again, simple question. Question number 17. The question number 18 is give examples of legal issues that are unique to e-commerce transaction. Now, normally in e-commerce transaction, what is the biggest problem? The biggest problem is you order today and the goods will come after 3 days or 4 days. Now, what is the risk? The risk could be, let us say that you order a mobile phone, but when you receive the product, sometimes you may also receive Lifebuoy soap. Okay. So now once you receive the Lifebuoy soap, so what are you going to do? So is it your loss or can you file a case against the company? So there are a lot of legal issues. Now let us say that you had your cousin's birthday and you wanted to give a gift to your cousin. So you ordered some product, but that product did not come on the previous day of your cousin's birthday. It comes after 1 week after your cousin's birthday. Now, can you file a case against the e-commerce company? If yes, what is the damage that you can claim? So all these things, certain examples are given and you have to go through these examples. Very simple examples. Next, this is an exam question. That is question number 19. It is an RTP question. Often comes for examination. The question is, list the prominent legislation that have an impact on e-commerce. So there are a lot of legislations which are applicable for e-commerce companies. Legislation means acts, the laws. So what and all laws which are applicable to them? The first one is income tax is applicable to them. Now, how income tax is applicable to them? Certain companies. Now, let us say that there is Amazon.com. I'm not talking about Amazon.in. I'm talking about Amazon.com. So that is US based company. So if they are selling something in India, whether Amazon should pay tax to Indian government or not. Let us talk about Alibaba. Alibaba is Chinese based company. So if some Alibaba is selling some goods to Indian customer, so whether Alibaba should pay income tax to Indian government or not. So all these things are discussed in Income Tax Act. Next one is Companies Act 2013. This is one more law which is applicable to e-commerce entities. Now, how the Companies Act is applicable to them? All the e-commerce companies, almost all the e-commerce companies are companies. Okay. So normally partnership firm, sole proprietorship will not become e-commerce. So almost all the e-commerce companies are company. So once it is a company, then Companies Act is applicable to them. Once Companies Act is applicable to them, you need to know all the provisions of Companies Act. So whenever you're auditing a e-commerce entity, you need to know that whether they're complying with Companies Act or not. Next one is again Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act 1992. So this is one of the act which tells how a foreign company or a company which is not there in India, which is not established in India, can do trade with Indian customers. So normally they say that foreign companies are not supposed to sell, let's say, consumer goods in India. Okay. So all these restrictions are put in this particular act. So when you're starting a e-commerce company, you need to go through this act as well to understand whether that particular law is applicable to your e-commerce company or not. Next one is the Factories Act 1948. Now again, Factories Act is applicable to all the factories. So if you're an e-commerce company, then you have a warehouse. If you have a warehouse, there are workers who are working for you. Then the Factories Act is applicable to you. If Factories Act is applicable to you, then again, the act talks about what are the facilities you have to give to your employees, what are the amenities that you need to give to your employees. All these things are told in Factories Act. Even those things you need to consider. Next is GST. Again, GST is applicable to all the companies who is supplying goods. Again, so if somebody wants to start e-commerce company, then you also have to refer GST. So whether it is a intrastate transaction, whether it is an interstate transaction, what is the rate of GST that has to be paid, all those things will be dealt in GST Act. Next is there is again Indian Contract Act. This is something which you studied in your foundation. So Indian Contract Act talks about contract. For a contract to happen, there has to be two people, there has to be offer, there has to be acceptance, all these things. So you need to go through Indian Contract Act as well. Next is Competition Act. So Competition Act is one act about which you will study in your CA finals. So Competition Act is one of the act which is put in place to ensure there is a healthy competition. Now, if you look at all the e-commerce trend which is going on, certainly people feel that there is no healthy competition because Flipkart on Big Billion Days comes and gives you pen drive at 1 rupees, or Amazon on some Diwali sale will give you a deep discount. Because of those discounts, some normal the local seller is not able to sell his products. So you also need to see Competition Act, and you need to see whether Amazon or Flipkart or any other e-commerce vendors are violating these rules or regulation. The last one is Consumer Protection Act 1986. So Consumer Protection Act, I said, you ordered a mobile phone but you got a life boy, you got a Lux soap. So now what are you going to do? That is dealt in Consumer Protection Act. So a consumer can always file a case against the e-commerce company if whatever you have promised is not delivered to the customer. So these are the various laws which are applicable to e-commerce entities. Now why this is important here is because, now let us say tomorrow you become chartered accountant and one of the client comes to you and he says, I want to start some e-commerce entity. Now, before you tell him, before you suggest him, you need to go through all this law. You need to go through all this law, and based on this law, you need to consult your client. Okay, so this is a very simple question and answer. Next question is again list the advantages and disadvantages of digital payment. I'll just brush through. Now, what is digital payment? Now, digital payment means earlier days we used to carry our wallet, the physical parts, physical wallet, and every time we used to purchase something. Let us say I purchased the milk, I would open my wallet, pay some cash. Okay. Now, in digital payment, instead of paying the real cash, I am using certain other ways of making payment. So I may use Paytm, I may use Phone Pay, I may use Google Pay. So everything is considered as digital payment. So they're asking what are the advantages. One advantage is it is easy and convenient. All simple points. You only can go through it. And next one is any person can pay from anywhere. You don't have to be near the shopkeeper only. You can sit here and you can make payment to a vendor who is sitting probably 100 kilometers far from you. Next point is advantages, discount from taxes. Now, if you have made some UPI payment, let us say you are making some phone pay payment in a petrol bunk, you would have experienced that if the petrol, if the charges, let's say 1,000 rupees, you have filled a petrol of 1,000 rupees and you just have to pay 994 rupees and 6 rupees you get as a discount, all those things. So it is an advantage. You're saving 6 rupees, maybe single transaction 6 rupees, but over a month or over a year, it will be a huge amount of saving. Next one is return record. Normally, if you have money in your purse and at the end of the month, you wonder where did your money go. But as far as digital payment is concerned, there is a history that where did you spend your money, so that it will help in the documentation purpose. Whenever you want to prepare your accounts, you can directly refer to your payment history. Next one is less risky. Even if somebody steals your mobile phone, can they use your UPI to make the payment? Answer is no, because they have to insert some UPI pin, which if they don't know, then they cannot make the payment. But on the other hand, let us say you lose your wallet. If you lose your wallet, then any person who gets your wallet can use your cash. So that is all the advantages of your digital payments. Next one is what is the disadvantages. So it is a classic question. There is an advantage as well, and then there is a disadvantage as well. So what is a disadvantage? First one is difficult for non-technical person. For example, my parents, so they are not very tech savvy, so they do not understand how to use your any phone pay or any other wallets. They do not know. Next one is the risk of data theft. Now you might have read in your newspapers or TV news. Every time they'll say that some hacker or some scammer, it is not even a hacker, some scammer simply called and told he's calling from some bank and he has asked for some UPI pin, he has asked for some card details, then some 50,000 is gone, 1 lakh rupees is gone, all those things. So uh, this is one of the risk. The next point is overspending. So overspending means, now let us say that in my purse, if I have 2,000 rupees cash, maximum I can spend is only 2,000 rupees. But instead of that, let us say I carry my phone. So what is the money that I can spend over shopping? There is no limit. As long as there is money in my bank account, I can go on spending. So uh, this is one of the problem of using digital payments. I don't get a track of spending money. If it is physical cash, then I'll get to know, oh, morning I had 2000 rupees, evening I only have 500 rupees, that means I spent 1500 rupees. But when it comes to digital payment, I have no track of how much I spent. Okay, so these are the advantages. Again, a very simple question. Now next one, they are asking that is question number 21, that is briefly explain few methods of digital payments. Now you know what are the different methods of digital payments. You can use UPI apps. What are the example of UPI apps? You have Beam, you have Phone Pay, you have Google Pay, and there are certain other apps as well. Then there is IMPS. Now what is this IMPS? IMPS, earlier days we had an RTGS and NEFT. Even now also we have. Now RTGS and NEFT, the main problem is if I pay now, money will go after 2 hours, after 3 hours. But IMPS refers to immediate transfer of money. So if I'm sending now, within 10 seconds, the money will reach to my the concerned person, my vendor. Okay. Next point, they're talking about certain mobile apps. Go through that point. And next one is other enabled payment services. Now, I believe this is not active in India as of now, but the concept is pretty simple. You just have to give your just right now for all the UPI payments. What do? We give our mobile number, but other enabled payment service refers to you make payment by using your Aadhaar number. Rest everything remains the same. So your Aadhaar number is linked to your bank account number, and whenever you put your Aadhaar number and then you make the payment, money will be directly deducted from your bank account. Okay, so I am hurrying for all these questions because the real concept starts now. Okay, so this is where I want to take time in today's class. So we discuss generally the previous questions. Now let us take our time and now let us understand these questions. And these questions are very, very important from your examination point. And these are the questions which students find slightly difficult to understand. Okay, so just go through the points what we discussed for a minute. Then we will start with part B, that is emerging technologies. Okay, so Munikumar is asking me to talk in Hindi. Muni, I'm pretty sorry. This is just English oriented class. Uh, so I'll stick to English. The reason is because in examination you have to write in English. It is not Hindi what you write. So I've got nothing against any language, and one more reason is my Hindi is pretty bad. So you wouldn't understand anything even if I talk in Hindi. Okay. All right. So if you have any questions, then drop in a comment box. After every question, I'll take up your questions. Now, very important concept of fourth chapter, that is outline the concept of virtualization. Outline the concept of virtualization. Now, what do you mean by virtualization? So when you directly read your material, normally students get confused. What exactly is this virtualization? How do I understand this? I have never seen something called as virtualization in my life. Answer is you have seen virtualization in your life. Let me give an example. Say you purchased your laptop, and the shopkeeper said that this laptop has 1 TB hard disk. He said your laptop has how much? 1 TB hard disk. Now when you came home, it showed that there is local disk C, local disk D, and local disk E. Okay, it showed local disk C, local disk D, local disk E. It showed three disk. Okay, it showed how many disk? It showed three disk. You tell me, is there one hard disk in your laptop, or is there three hard disk in your computer, or three hard disk in your laptop? I repeat my question. Tell me, when you purchased your laptop and the shopkeeper said this laptop has 1 TB hard disk, does it mean that you had one hard disk of 1 TB, or you had three hard disk, that is local disk C, local disk D, local disk E? Answer is you always have one hard disk. You always have one hard disk of 1 TB. But I have CDE. That is, one hard disk is divided. One hard disk is divided into three sub hard disk. C, D, E. So that C you will use for installation file. All the software will be installed in local disk C. Let us say all the movies will be kept in local disk D, and all the personal related data will be kept in local disk C. That is up to your choice. But there was actually one hard disk which is divided into three hard disks. So this process of div of what do I say? Converting reality into something else, some reality into virtual thing is called as virtualization. So what is reality here? Reality is there is only one hard disk. What is virtuality? There is three hard disk. Okay, so that is what virtualization is all about. That is one of the example of what virtualization is. Now, in simple word, now let us one more simple example which I want to give. Then I'll take it in very technical way. Say there is one room in your house. There is only one room in your house, and you are two siblings. That is you, and you have your brother with you. Now you're always fighting with your brother. So your mother says, you both don't stay together. You stay separately. But how many rooms you have? You only have one room. So your mother knows that if you're in the same room, you'll always fight. So what will she do? She will put an artificial barrier. She will put an artificial barrier. She will draw one single line in chalk, and she will say, you will not go that side and he will not come this side. So in reality, how many rooms are there? There is only one room. But because of the drawing that line, she converted one room into two rooms. This is called as virtualization. So in the example of converting one hard disk into three local disks is also called as virtualization. So process of converting one storage device into three storage device is something called as storage virtualization. Understood? This is the one of the example. This is not exactly what virtualization in its entirety. This is one of the example of what virtualization is. Clear? Okay. Now, let me give one more example. Let me give you one more example. Now let us say that. Uh, say I am using an iPad. Okay, I'm using iPad, and iPad is from Apple. Okay, so it has a different operating system. It has iOS. Now let us say that I want to install one Windows software. I want to install a Windows software. Can I install in my iPad? You tell me. Can I install Windows software in my iPad? For example, Windows software could be Tally. So Tally is the accounting software what people use in their office, which is specifically for Windows. Can I install Tally in my iPad? Answer is no. I cannot install. But I don't have any other device. I don't have any other device. So what do I do? So what will I do is I will install one particular software. I will install one software to my iPad. I will install one software to my iPad, which will convert or which will assist me in installing a Tally software. Or let me give a very simple example. Say I have an Android mobile phone with me. I have an Android mobile phone with me, and I always play PUBG in my mobile phone. Okay, I don't know how to play PUBG. Just for an example, so I play PUBG in my mobile phone. Now I want to play it in a big screen. Now I want to play in a big screen. I want to play in my laptop, or I want to play in my computer. Now let us say that PUBG is only available for Android mobile phones. It is not available for my Windows system. So how do I play it in my computer? Can I play? Answer is no. Why no? Because my phone is Android, my system is Windows. But if I want to play Android game in my Windows system, I use a software. Which is a software I use? If you are a game freak, you would know. I would use some software called as BlueStack to convert my Windows system into Android operating system, and then I will add PUBG game into that, and I will start playing PUBG in my computer. So this is also a process called as virtualization. In reality, my computer is Windows computer, but virtually my computer became a Android device. So this is also called as virtualization. So this is something called as virtualization of operating system, because Windows is also an operating system, and uh, Android is also operating system. In reality, it is Windows operating system. Virtually, it is Android operating system. I hope you are clear with what virtualization is. So virtualization in simple word, it means in reality, it is something else, but virtually, I am making it as something else. Understood? Okay. So let us read the definition of what virtualization is, and it says virtualization means to create a virtual version of a device or resource such as server or such as storage device or network or even an operating system. So we took an example of storage virtualization. I said one hard disk, you're parting it into CDE. We also discussed about virtualization of operating system. I can play Android games in my Windows system using some software called as BlueStack or some other software what you get. Now, what do you mean by network virtualization? Now, I'll give an example of what network virtualization is. Now, let us say that you have one Wi-Fi in your home, okay, one single Wi-Fi network, what you have, and all the devices are connected to your single Wi-Fi. Now let us say again, you have your sibling, that is your brother. Now your brother is watching all Netflix videos, YouTube videos in HD. So all the speed of the internet, okay, all the internet speed is consumed by his device. So you will not get internet at all. So what will you do? You will again go to your mom and you will complain and say, your brother is only using the entire network. You are not getting any internet only and you cannot work. So your mother, what she will do, she will create two network. She will create two Wi-Fi hotspot for you. Okay. So she will create two network. Let us say Wi-Fi 1 and Wi-Fi 2. So this is called as network virtualization. In reality, how many network is there? Only one network, but virtually there are two network. So that is called as uh, network virtualization. And again, server virtualization is also same thing. Let us say there is one big server and 2 3 people want to use it. So rather than 2 3 people simultaneously using the big server, you can divide the server into small pieces and give it to them. Now, is it always that virtualization means the big thing is divided into small things? For example, one hard disk is bifurcated into 3 hard disks. That is called as virtualization. Now, can that also happen that five different hard disks are put together and made one big hard disk? Can that be done? For example, now let us say that you have 5 different hard disks of 1 GB, 1 GB, 1 GB, 1 GB, 1 GB. In total, it is 5 GB. Now, what you want to do? You want to store one movie which is 5 GB. Okay, there is only one movie which is 5 GB, and you have 5 hard disks of 1 GB each. So you cannot cut the movies and store 1111 GB. So what will you do? You use a software. You use the software in which 5 hard disks will come together and become one hard disk. Even this is called as virtualization. So in virtualization, one big thing can be bifurcated or divided into small pieces, or different small pieces can come together and become a big piece. Even that is virtualization. Or operating system, from Android it can become Windows, or from Windows it can become Android. Even this is called as virtualization. I hope you understood the concept what virtualization is. If you have any doubts, write it in the comment box. All right. So next line, what are they saying? They're saying virtualization refers to technologies designed to provide a layer of abstraction between computer hardware system and system running on them. I give an example of playing PUBG in my Windows. So hardware is for the Windows system. Okay. And there is Windows operating system, and here is the PUBG game. Here is the Windows operating system, and here is the PUBG game. So between Windows operating system and PUBG, you are putting another software. So that software is acting as a layer of abstraction between your hardware and the application which you want to run. So the core concept of virtualization lies in partitioning. Partitioning means dividing one hard disk into 3 hard disks. That is, which lies single physical server into multiple logical server, or single physical storage device into multiple logical storage devices. Now, virtualization allows its user to manipulate their system's operating system into thinking that group of servers is a single pool of computing resources. So in simple word, I told you that there are 5 hard disks and you want to store one movie of 5 GB. So how can you do that? Whenever you use that one software to merge all these 5 hard disks, so your system, your operating system will think that there is only one hard disk of 5 GB, and then it will store the movie in that particular storage device. So this is all about virtualization. All right. So if you have question, I want to see it in the comment box, or else we can go for the next question. And again, as I'm using Zoom app to teach this, so there is always around 20-second gap. So there is 20-second difference between you asking the question and me answering your question. So I hope that there are no questions. So I want to continue. Then let us go for the question number 2. The question number 2 is, what are the different types of virtualization? What are the different types of virtualization? We only discussed there is a storage virtualization, then there is a operating system virtualization. So let us quickly have a discussion about this. So there is something called as hardware virtualization. Now, what is hardware virtualization? Hardware virtualization means I said I only have what? I only have iPad with me and I want to access Windows system. Can I do this? Can I do this? Normally, no, but with the help of a software, I can convert my iPad into a Windows system. I can convert my iPad into a Windows system. So normally, I know as a student, you wouldn't understand it. So let me show practically how can I do that. All right. So I'll not go in details, but quickly I can share it with you how to do that. So let me go here and I will say, so I want to create a virtual machine. So I have my iPad and I want to I want to install a Windows software. So what will I do? I will go and say AWS virtual machine. So AWS is nothing but Amazon Web Services, which provides this type of services. So I want to install a virtual machine. So I'll go for AWS virtual machine. So this is their website and I'll click on launch a Windows virtual machine. Okay, so again, so here they will tell how I can launch. So I have to create some Amazon account, then I can create a Windows Server 2016 instance. So instance means a computer. So I can create Windows Server 2016. So using my iPad, I can actually run a Windows software. So this is something called as hardware virtualization. In reality, what hardware I have? I have iPad, but what type of software I'm running in it? I'm running a Windows based software in it. This is called as hardware virtualization. I hope that you understood what hardware virtualization is. Now let us go back. And now let us talk about next point. What is network virtualization? Network virtualization we already discussed, in which I told that your mother, instead of giving you one single Wi-Fi, she is going to bifurcate or divide it into two different Wi-Fis. So that is called as network virtualization. Once you understand this, then you can read it. Okay, now let us say that you have a company and there are different departments, and normally your employees complain that one department using excess internet. So what can you do? You can divide it into multiple network, and you can say that one department has to use this network, another department has to use another network. So that is called as network virtualization. The third point is storage virtualization. Storage virtualization, the same example of dividing one local disk into three different local disks. Sorry, one hard disk into three different local disks. So that is about virtualization. All right. So here we come to the end of discussing what is virtualization. Rest of the points you can read and you can understand. Next, we will go for grid computing. But in virtualization, if you have some doubt, I want you to put it in comments. So somebody's question is, sir, application of virtualization in question 1. Which is question 1? Where is application? Um, what are its major applications? Okay, we'll come to that particular point. What are the major applications? Basically, these are the major applications. That is hardware virtualization, network virtualizations, and storage virtualization. These are the basic application of your virtualizations. So you were right that that should have been the second question. Okay, so next is write short notes on the concept of grid computing. Now again, grid computing is something what students always ask, sir, I have a doubt in grid computing. Grid computing, what exactly is grid computing? First, let us take a very simple example to understand what grid computing is, and then let us understand practically how grid computing happens. So for everything, I'll give a practical example. Okay, first let us understand what grid computing is. Now, let me simply give an example. Say You are a high school student. You are a high school student, and your maths teacher has given you 20 sums. She has given you 20 sums, and she has told, when you come tomorrow, it is a homework. When you come tomorrow, I want you to solve these 20 questions. Without solving, you should not come to class. So how many questions you have? You have 20 questions, and these 20 questions are very complex questions, difficult questions. So within one day, you cannot solve all those questions. But your math teacher is very strict. She will not let you to enter the class unless you solve those questions. So what are you going to do? So you come out, you come home, and you look at your neighbors. So there are 10 kids who are your neighbors. So you go to them and you ask them, see, I got 20 questions and I'm very weak at maths. So can you solve two sums for me? Can you solve two sums for me? And they will say, why not? We will solve two sums. Okay. Now, what are you going to do? That 20 sums what you had, you will give them two for all the 10 people. Now, what will they do? They will solve two sums, and answer they are going to give it to you. Okay, so you collect answer for all the two questions from all the 10 people. So you have answer for all the 20 questions. This is exactly what grid computing is. This is grid computing. If you could understand this example, you understood what grid computing is. So what did you do? You borrowed. Did you take their brain out and took it to your home? Nothing. You did not do that. You just gave your problem to them, and they understood the problem. They solved the problem. They gave you the answer. So what are you borrowing from them? You are borrowing computational power from them. So what is this computational power? Your question had to be, so there is a problem, and if you have to arrive at answer, you need to compute the answer. Okay, so they are supposed to use their brain. So what did you apply? Sorry, what did you borrow? You borrowed their computational power. Okay, so grid computing is also same thing. Now let us say that there is one company. Okay, there is one company, and it has a very complex problem. It has a very complex problem. A problem could be, let us say, it is a weather based company. Okay, it has to forecast the weather. What will be tomorrow's weather? Will it rain tomorrow or not? Whether it will be sunny tomorrow or not? Okay, so weather based company, it has to forecast the weather of what will be the weather for next 100 years. So it is a very complex calculation. It is not something very simple. You just look outside, look at the sky, and it will tell that, after 2 months it is going to rain. It is a very complex calculation. And this weather forecasting company may not have a huge computer with them which would compute the solution for this problem. So what are they going to do? They are going to ask for different people to give their computational power. Now let us say they will just put in their website saying that we are a non-profit organization and we do not have enough money to purchase lot of computational resources. All the volunteers, can you please lend your computing power? So as a customer, let us say, not as a customer, as a volunteer, what will I do? I will tell that company, look, I want my laptop from morning 9 o'clock to evening 9 o'clock, 9 to 9 I want. But after that, night time, I don't use my laptop. At that time, you can use my computational resource. So what will I do? I will keep my laptop on. I will keep my laptop turned on, and I will install one software which is provided by the weather forecasting company. So once I do that and I sleep off, my computer will be on. Okay, so then what will they do? They will send the problem to my computer. They will send the problem to my computer, and they will use my computer's computational power, processing power, to find the solution. Okay, so after finding the solution, what my computer is going to do? My computer is going to send the answer to them. So this is exactly what grid computing is. I hope you understood what grid computing is. Now let us practically look how grid computing looks like. Okay, so there is a project by IBM. So IBM is a very popular company, and there is a project by them, something called as World Community Grid. So let us look that particular website. Just a second, one second. Okay, so here I am, and let us come here. I'll say there is a website. I told you there is a website called as World Community Grid, and okay, so this is the website what I have. So again, so they're saying that, if you want, you can contribute to this project. Okay, so if I want to contribute to that particular project, what I'm going to do? I'm going to click on contribute to the project, and then they will say what is my email address and what is my password. I'm going to put email address and password. Then they will ask me to install one particular software in my system, whether it is in my iPad or whether it is in my laptop. I have to install that particular software. Then I have to tell them from what time to what time they can use my system resources. At that time, if my system is on, will use my system. So this is how grid computing works. So I'm not going to go in pretty detail because I have only 1 hour and I need to complete within that 1 hour. Okay. So that is how grid computing works. Now, let us come back to the questions. So what is the question? Write short note on concept of grid computing. So what is the answer? That is, grid computing is a computer network in which each computer resource are shared with every other computer in the system. So all these 10 people, 10 of your neighbors are coming together to solve one particular problem, or 20, two problem each. We put together 20 problem. Okay. So all the computers are connected to each other. That is where it is called as grid. So grid is nothing but different computers connected to each other, called as grid. It is distributed architecture of large number of computers connected to solve a complex problem. So it is a distributed architecture. It is not one computer solving the problem. It is distributed architecture, distributed computer solving one particular problem. So how are they going to solve the problem? One big problem is divided into small problems, and one computer at a time try to solve that particular problem. Now it is special kind of distributed computing. In distributed computing, different computers within the same network share one or more resources. That is, let us say there are 10 computers, and all these 10 different computers can use one printer. All those things also can happen. Now in the ideal grid computing system, every resource is shared, turning computer network into a powerful supercomputer. So thousands of volunteers like me, if we give our computational power of our computer, then it will become a one huge super computer. Now so what can be shared? Is it only the processing power, computational power? No, you can share your memory, you can share your storage devices, you can share everything. Now every authorized computer would have access to enormous processing power and storage capacity. So now IBM will ask everybody to install that small software in your system, and once everybody install those small softwares, then IBM will have access to all the systems. Okay. Now normally students ask, sir, if IBM has access to my system, can they see my photo? Because in my laptop I have my private files, I have my gallery, I have my photos, I have WhatsApp backup. Can they see it? Answer is no, they cannot see. So there is a distinction between what they can see. They can only use my resources. They can use my resources. They can store something in the free space if it is there, but they cannot have access into my local files. So the software ensures that IBM never has access to your private files. So you don't have to worry. You can always install grid computing in your system and you can be a volunteer. Now, is it always free? Answer is no. Certain companies, let us say Infosys, they have 10,000 computers. Now morning there will be employees. Let us say there is no night shift. So all these computers won't be used in the night. So they can have a tie-up with some corporate company and they may say that I am going to offer the computational power of all my 10,000 computer for 100 crore rupees. So it can be commercial also, it can be non-commercial also. Okay. So, but what we have to understand here is the concept of grid computing. All right. So if there is any some question, then I want you to see now. So again, there is some questions. If you install Windows software in iPad, can we use both the software at once? Answer is yes. Answer is yes. You can directly minimize and you can come back and start using Windows. Okay, that is one answer. And next one is replication server, consolidation, portable device, disaster recovery plan, etc. or types of applications. Yes. So that is there in a study material itself. Next is please explain about information system auditing. Not in this particular. This is fourth chapter. That is third chapter. Not here. All right. Okay. So now let us go to the next aspect. That is, what are the major applications of grid computing? Who and all will use grid computing? Now, civil engineers use it to analyze shake table experience. Basically, shake table experience is something like they want to see. Now let us say that they appointed me to build Burj Khalifa. Okay, so Burj Khalifa is a huge building in Dubai. So they asked me to build that building. Now I have to tell them that at what level of earthquake this Burj Khalifa will fall. So to understand that, I will not really in reality go and shake that building, because I can't even simulate earthquake. So what will I do is I will do something called as shake table experiments, that everything happens in computer. So to do that, you want huge amount of resource. To do that, you use grid computing. You connect 10 20 computers together, then you do it, because one computer do not have that much of computational power. Then insurance company will use to for a fraud detection, and there are certain examples what they're given, but all the examples tell one thing: these are the activities which requires huge amount of computational power, which one computer may not have. So you merge different computers, then you solve the problem. They're talking about insurance company will use it, or they are talking about application service provider, or they're talking about e-business workload, large scale science and engineering projects like weather forecasting, or all the laboratories which wants to find cure for some illness. They all use grid computing. Okay. Now, next question is, what are the resources that can be pulled? I said, the question is, what are the resources that can be pooled in grid computing? Now, so I said it is not just, oh, what happened to the screen? One second. Mm, some error, wait. Okay, let it be. Let's come back here. So what are they saying? What are the resources that can be pooled? So first one is computation resources can be pooled, storage can be pooled, communication can be pooled, software and licenses can be pooled, and special equipments. So in grid computing, it is not just computational power what can be pooled. There are certain other things also what can pool. For example, even storage can be pooled. Let us say every system has around 10 GB of storage space. You can pool every computer and make one huge storage space. That also can be done. And communication can be pooled. That is different communication devices can be pulled together to make a very large communication hub. And there is softwares and licenses. So I told that see, for you to solve, let us say, one particular problem, you want one software and you are taking help of 100 computers. Now, do you have to purchase that software 100 times for you to install that software every time? Answer is no. You can communicate with your service provider, you can communicate with your software vendor, and you can tell him, look, I'm using grid computing and I want to install this in 100 computers, and I don't want to pay for all the 100 softwares at once. So he will provide me a special package. All those things also can be done. Special equipments, capacities, architecture, and policies. Now in grid computing, I said, it is not just Windows laptop. It could be Mac, or it could be iPad, it could be mobile phone, it could be anything. So for each type of devices, there has to be different type of architecture, different type of software, all these things that we have to see. Let us not get into very technical as of now. Now list the advantages of grid computing. Now, let us talk about making use of underutilized resources. Now, Infosys is using their system only in the morning, not in the evening. So they can make use of their underutilized resources. Evening, they can rent it. Resource balancing. Resource balancing refers to, uh, how do I put it? Let us say that normally one computer is enough to solve one particular problem. But if the problem is difficult, if the problem is difficult, for a temporary purpose, I can take help of another computer. So I can do resource balancing. If there is more load, I can shift it to another computer. That also can be done. Parallel CPU capacity, all the 100 computers CPU, the processing power, can be run simultaneously. Virtual resources and virtual organizations for collaboration, access to additional resources, reliability. All these are the very points that you just need to read through it, not very technical, because there is only somewhere around 20 minutes left and there are a lot of questions what I need to cover. So I'm rushing. So what are the security factors to be considered in grid computing? I said, IBM is accessing your computer. Does it mean that IBM can see your private file? I said, no. Why not? Because the software what you install takes care of all those things. So question is, what are the security factors to be considered in grid computing? They are saying there should be single sign on. That is, IBM should be able to sign into all the 100 computers in one click. If you say that IBM has to log into all the computers one by one, one by one, it if they start in the night, it will be morning by the time they log into all the computers. So they want something called a single sign-on, one click of a button and logged into all the computers. Next one is protection of credentials. That is, you saw that Whenever I logged in, they asked for that world community grid, they asked my email ID and they asked my password. So even this has to be protected. And interoperability with local security solutions. That is, the computer, my computer, if I'm giving for grid, my computer also may have some data which they should not be able to access. So there has to be a barrier between what they can do and what they cannot do. Then exportability. Exportability means they want to divide, let us say there is one big problem and they want to cut it into small problems and give it to different systems. Now when they give it to different systems, they cannot directly send it. They want to encrypt it, because all these are very confidential data. So if they encrypt it too much, it will take a lot of time to decrypt it. Okay, if you encrypt it a lot, it will take a lot of time to decrypt it, and that will defeat the purpose of grid computing. Okay, so uh, your grid computing should what do I say, provide for exportability. Your code should be, whatever the small problem should be able to how do I say, you should be able to export it from one system to another system without encrypting. Next one is secure group communication. Whenever your computer is talking to the main grid or they are talking to you, there should be a secure communication. So that's it. So here we come to the end of what grid computing is. So intention of this particular class, because due to the time constraint, I cannot go through each and every point. The intention is to give you a fair enough idea so that you can understand. So if there is some doubts, I'll take up, or else we are going for a next concept, that is grid computing. Okay. So now a lot of people asking, write short note on the concept of cloud computing. Sir, what is cloud computing? Cloud computing. Again, this is something what you use on a daily basis. So, but again, when the question is in examination, we feel that we do not know what this concept is. So let us understand what cloud computing is. Now, first is, what is cloud? Now, cloud refers to internet. Using internet to do something, I refer to cloud computing. Now, let me give an example. Say, I have this iPad with me. This iPad, let us say it has 32 GB of memory. It has 32 GB of memory. And there was some wedding in my family, and I've taken lot of photos. Normally iPad, I don't use it to take photos, but let us say I took photos with my iPad. So many photos I've taken, and it is let us say 30 GB of photos I've taken. So my space was 32 GB. I have filled 30 GB with one wedding photos. Now I come home. After I come home, I try to use my iPad, but my iPad is very slow and it says you have to delete some files. You need to delete some files. And I don't want to delete. I don't want to delete any files. So what can I do? One thing you will say, sir, uh, take a backup in your laptop, or transfer it to your friend's phone, all those things. Let us say I don't have anything. I only have one device, my iPad, and don't want to delete any photo. What can I do? So you will say, sir, this is a very simple question. This is a very simple question. What you have to do, you have to upload your photos. Now, I have to upload my photos. Where do I upload? I upload to cloud. Now, whenever I say I upload it to cloud, what am I referring to? I am referring to, there is one more person. There is one more person who has the hard disk. There is one more person who has the hard disk, and he is willing to store my photos for me. He is willing to store my photos for me for some charge, or sometimes for free also he is willing to store. So but for me to send my photos from my ipad to his hard disk, I use internet. If I use internet, this is called as cloud computing. But on the other hand, let us say that from my ipad I am directly copying it to my friend's laptop. Is it cloud computing? Answer is no. Why no? Because I am not using internet to send data from my system to his system. Only when I use internet, it becomes cloud computing. When I don't use internet, it does not become cloud computing. I hope you understood what cloud computing is. So let us read the point. The point is very simple. Once again, because of some technical error, I'm not able to share my screen. Okay, finally. Okay, finally. So write a short note on concept of cloud computing. First point is cloud computing simply means the use of computing resources as a service through network, typically the internet. So what is the computing resource I wanted? I wanted memory. I wanted storage. So I am accessing that storage service with the help of internet. So I'm uploading photos so that I can delete photos from my iPad and it will be stored with somebody else. Now, if I want that photos, can I have it back? Yes, I can request him. I can request him and he will give my file back to me. So it all happens, with the help of system. So I'll never see the other person. So this is called as cloud computing. All right. Okay. Now, so let us understand what are the different examples of cloud computing. Now, I'll take you through one thing. Now, let us say that there is iCloud. Okay, there is iCloud. That is a cloud service by Apple. So now, what are the things I can do? I can upload my photos, or I can upload my other details like iCloud Drive. I can store my notes or reminders, or many other things I can do. So these are all the things I can do with the help of cloud computing. All right. So now coming back. Now let's come back. So cloud computing is a combination of both software based and hardware based computing resources provided through network as a service. So what is the hardware here? Somebody is agreeing to store my photos for me. It is not stored somewhere in the physical cloud what we see. It is stored in a hard disk only. So there is a hardware. There is a software which is used to upload photos from my system and download photos. So there is a software, but I also use internet. Okay. Next is cloud computing is designed to enable user to what? To have anytime access to a shared pool of application and resources. Then to access data using single front-end interface such as web browser. So I can access my cloud computing with the help of mobile browser, desktop browsers, all those things. To develop and deploy, manage the resources on the internet cloud, virtualization of resources. So to understand cloud computing, first we have to understand what virtualization is, and we already understood what virtualization is, correct? So see, again I'm saying I have a ipad with me, I have a ipad with me, but I want to use a windows system. I want to use a windows system, and there is somebody who is willing to give me his windows system. There is somebody who is willing to give his windows system to me. We saw in virtualization, I went to that aws website and I try to create a host. So same way, so what is this? Amazon is willing to give their windows system to me. I am also willing to take that windows system, but how am I going to take? Am I going to really go to Amazon shop and purchase a real computer? Answer is no. It is virtualization. With the help of internet, using my ipad, I am able to run their windows machine. So this is also a cloud computing. So virtualization is a sub part under cloud computing. Okay. Next. Now again, list the objectives of cloud computing. Why I go for cloud computing? To understand this, you need to understand, why do you use Ola and Uber? Why don't you purchase a car? Why do you use Ola and Uber? First thing is, you will say, we don't have so much of money with us as of now. We are still students. Let us say that for you to purchase a car, it will cost 20 lakh rupees. You are taking a loan for 10 years. Every month EMI will come up approximately around 25 to 26,000 rupees. Why spend so much of money? Only when you have to travel, take your mobile phone, book a car, it will come, take you wherever you want, and you pay 200 rupees, 300 rupees. Done, that's it. So that is the answer what you are going to give. Same way, cloud computing is also, the objectives of the cloud computing is also the same thing. Now, why do you use cloud computing? Why don't you directly purchase a hard disk? Answer is, why should I simply pay money for a hard disk? I only want to store for once. Maybe after 1 week, I want to delete. Same wedding photographs, what I told, only for 1 week I want to store these photos of 30 GB till all my family members eat my head. I want to give that photos to them, or else I have personally no interest in saving those photos. Why will I simply buy a hard disk of 1 TB to store 30 GB's photos? I can directly upload in the cloud. Whenever I want it, I'll download, I'll give it to my family, then I will delete it off. So that is the reason why am I using cloud computing. Or one more example of cloud computing could be all these softwares, or all, see, softwares are also called as application. Now, olden days, if I have to edit some photo, if I have to edit some photos, what would I do? Now let us say that I would go to app store, And after going to App Store, I would type what is that image editing softwares. I would type image editing software. Now I will get some image editing softwares. Let us say some some Adobe Lightroom, some software I will download it. So I will get it and I will install it in my system and I will make the payment. I just have to edit one photo. Okay, so it will take, like, let's say it will ask 5,000 rupees. I'll pay 5,000 rupees. Then I will uh, edit the photo. So this was the olden approach. This was the olden approach where I had to download the software, install the software, pay for it, then use the software. But I have to just edit one photo. Why should I simply pay 5,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees? So now what do I do is I use cloud computing. So with cloud computing, what do? I open my browser. So this is, they said, how to access cloud computing with the help of my browser. So I will directly put what? Image edit. So here only I'll put image edit online. Then I'll click go. So without downloading the app, I want to edit. So I'll go for some pixel art. I'll click on pixel art and done. The software is ready. So did I install the software in my system? Answer is no. It is still there in the service provider system only. It is still there with him only, but I'm accessing it with the help of internet. So if there is no internet, can I access this software? No. So I can directly click on advanced pixel art and I can directly start editing my photos. So this is where, rather than spending a lot of time in downloading, installing, paying for the entire software, I can pay for use. Maybe they may charge for one photo 50 rupees. So where is 50 rupees? Where is 5,000 rupees? Okay. So this is where I use cloud computing. So I hope you are getting what cloud computing basically is. So what is the first objective? Why do you use cloud computing? They're saying to bring all available IT resources in an eco-friendly and cost-saving way. So you will save a lot of money to ensure and improve IT services are accessible and available from anywhere. So I want to edit a photo. So I don't have to come to that system in which software is installed. I can edit in my laptop. I can edit in my mobile phone. I can edit anywhere and everywhere using internet. And to enlarge, upgrade, upscale the activities to match evolving business needs in a cost-effective manner. Now, see. Now, if you have to purchase a hard disk, you have to pay for 1 TB hard disk. Now, let us say 1 TB is the minimum the storage space. So you have to pay for entire 1 TB. But let us say you only want 30 GB. Why will you pay for 1 TB? Correct. Now, let us say you uploaded 30 GB of data, then you paid for only 30 GB. But let us say there is one more wedding or there is one more reception photos. So you want 20 more GBs. So with the help of cloud computing, first when you upload 30 GB, you will only pay for 30 GB. Then again, if you want additional storage space of 20 GB, again you will pay for 20 GB. So this is what you can do with the help of cloud computing. So there is scalability. But on the other hand, let us say that you purchase the pen drive of 30 GB, and again there is 20 more GB of data. You have to purchase one more pen drive. You can't directly increase the space by paying little extra money. You have to purchase one more device. So that problem we can avoid with the help of cloud computing. To reduce cost, to integrate IT resources, that is, I can have very less number of systems. I can have only one device. I can have only one device and I can manage different devices. For example, rather than having one iPad and one Windows system, what I can do, I will have one iPad, and in the same iPad I will also use Windows system with the help of virtualization. So I can have better IT infrastructure management. Next point is to reduce cost related to hardware, IT, power consumption, all the things. Answer is yes. So I hope you understood what cloud computing is, and now we are going to rush. So if there is any question I want to take now on cloud computing about conceptual understanding, put only question about cloud computing. Okay. So one of the question by Surendra Suraj. Question is, what if I am sharing my file from my system to, let us say I'm emailing my file to my friend? Is it also a cloud computing? I'll say yes, it is also a cloud computing. Now this is I am taking a service called as email as a service. So this is also cloud computing because you're using internet to share the file. It is a cloud computing. I hope you are clear. Next question is, what are the features of cloud computing? So now what you have understood what cloud computing is, and now you have to go and explain to your parents about what cloud computing is. So what are the features of cloud computing? What are the features of cloud computing? You will say there is elasticity. Elasticity is what? Can you save one photo of 100 KB in cloud, that is in your Google Drive? Answer is yes. Can you save a huge movie of let us say 10 GB in Google Drive? Answer again is yes. So you want suddenly 100 GB of space, can you have it? Answer is yes. So it is elasticity. Elasticity means you can store even smallest of the smallest data as well as biggest of the biggest data. And scalability, whenever you want to increase the storage capacity, you can directly increase it without any problem. Pay per use, only what you pay, you only for what you use, you pay for it. Then on demand, only when you want, you have to use it, or else you can leave it as it is, just like Ola and Uber. Next, resiliency. So resiliency means, see, when you upload your photos to Google Drive, you don't know where is the hard disk of the Google, whether it is in India, whether it is in Sri Lanka, whether it is in Japan, you don't know. Now let us say that Google has uploaded your photo to Indian server. Okay, Indian server. Due to some problem, the Indian server got corrupted. Does it mean that your photos are gone? Answer is no. Google takes backup. So one backup is there in one original file is there in India. One more backup could be in Sri Lanka. So as soon as your Indian server is corrupted or damaged or it is off, suddenly you will have access from Sri Lankan system. So there is resiliency. As a user, you would never know that the system is damaged. Okay, so that is one of the advantages or one of the features of cloud computing. Next one is multi-tenancy. Multi-tenancy means, let us say Google has one big hard disk of 1 TB. They have huge hard disk, huge computational spaces, but let us say they have one hard disk of 1 TB. Now you only want how much? You only want 15 GB. So they will not keep one hard disk entirely for you. They will say, okay, 1 TB hard disk, I want 15 GB. Another person also want 15 GB. Another person 15 GB. So there might be 50 people taking 15 GB of spaces. So one hard disk is accommodating 50 different people. So there are multiple tenants for a one single device. That is called as multi-tenancy. Next one is workload movement. So workload movement means, now Google, I said, it is having servers in India, it is having servers in Sri Lanka. Now servers, you need to keep your system turned on. Okay, now let us say electricity charges in India is higher. India is higher. So what Google can do is they can shift all the data from Indian server to Sri Lankan server if Sri Lankan electricity is cheaper. Okay, so all this workload movement also will be done by cloud computing. So these are all the features of cloud computing. All right. Okay. Then question number 11. So we are done with first questions about emerging technologies. So next question is question number 11. What are the advantages of cloud computing? This I want you to go through. Okay, this I want you to go through. Answer is very simple. And once you understood the concept of what cloud computing is, you will be able to solve it in a very easier way. Or you'll be able to remember this. Now, question number 12 is differentiate between grid computing and cloud computing. So what is the difference? See, in grid computing, basically, there might be 100 people who are volunteering to give their systems computational capacity or memory capacity, everything. But in cloud computing, it is Google one person, Amazon one person, Apple one person is providing that service to you. So in grid computing, it is a distributed architecture. There are so many people who are coming together to form one grid. But in cloud computing, it is just one single service provider who is providing that service to you. So this is the fundamental difference between grid computing and cloud computing. Now, when do you use cloud computing? Or I'll give a situation and you have to tell whether will you use grid computing or cloud computing. I want to store one small file of 500 KB. Not even 1 MB, one small file of 500 KB. So will I use grid computing or will I use cloud computing? I will use cloud computing. I will not ask somebody to volunteer and give their system to store that small amount of data. That is where cloud computing feature is elasticity. I can store small file also, I can store huge file also. Okay. So if I want to make a huge computation, if I want to make a huge computation, big computation, will I use cloud computing or will I use grid computing? Answer is I can use both. I can use cloud computing as well. I can use grid computing as well. Both are providing me huge computational power. Difference is grid computing is provided by lot of people, lot of system, and cloud computing is provided by one service provider. Rest things what you can, when you read, you will understand it. All right. Okay. So now what are the different types? Now, what are the different types of cloud computing environment? What are the different types of cloud computing environment? So there are different types. One is public cloud. So public cloud, as the name says, the cloud for the public. That is all the public. It is freely available, or it is, if I don't say freely, it is generally available to the public. For example, Google Drive. So even you can access, even I can access. So this is an example of public cloud. Next, something is called as private cloud. So private cloud are normally by a private companies. For example, let us say bank. There is a bank which has 100 different branches. They have 100 different branches. All the data from 100 different branches are stored at one central place called as data center. So data center collects data from all the 100 branches, and whenever this branch wants that data, they can access that particular data from this data center. Now question is, can you go and save your personal information in that data center? Can you say that I want to store my photo in the banking data center? No. That data center is only for the banks. So it is privately for a bank. So that is called as private cloud. So what is the difference between public cloud and private cloud? Public cloud is for everybody. Private cloud is for that one particular company, one particular corporation. That is where private cloud is also called as corporate cloud. Clear? Okay. So which is more secure? Public cloud is more secure or private cloud is more secure? Private cloud is more secure because only there is one user for that. So it is more secure. But public cloud is not very secure because there are many users using one single device. I said one particular hard disk can be used by 50 different people. So it is not very secure. Next one is, what is community cloud? Now community cloud, the word is community. So community means a similar type of people, okay, or similar uh, similar type of persons. For example, let us say that there is hospital, there is one city, and in that particular city there are 10 different hospitals. Now these hospitals save the data of the patients. They save the data of the patients. Now they want to store it in one different, they want to store this data in the cloud. Now public cloud, they don't trust it because the security is weak and patient information is most uh, sensitive data, so they cannot store it in the public cloud. Private cloud they can store, but private cloud is very expensive. You need to have your own data center, own IT people and other things. So they don't even have enough money to go for uh, private cloud. So public cloud not possible because it is not very secure. Private cloud not possible because it is very expensive. Hospital in a city come together and they will say, look, we might be competitors in the business, but we have similar requirement. What is the requirement? We have to store our patient data, and that data has to be very secure. So instead everybody coming and storing it in their own private cloud, let us all come together, let us all come together and make one data center, and every hospital will store their data in that particular data center, and they will access that information whenever they want. So can a general public go and save their data? Answer is no. The people from a particular community, that is only the hospitals, can store their data in this particular cloud. This is called as community cloud. Understood what community cloud is? Community cloud means the cloud services for a particular community, particular set of people having similar requirements. Okay. So that is what community cloud is. Now you tell me, which is more secure, whether it is public cloud secure, private cloud secure, or community cloud secure? See, private cloud is a more secure. Second place is community cloud, because though it is shared by different people, it is shared by only limited number of community people. but public cloud is very least secure because a lot of people use it. A lot of different general public uses it. Next one is something called as hybrid cloud. Now, what is this hybrid cloud? Hybrid means mixture. Mixture of what? Mixture of private cloud and public cloud is called as hybrid cloud. Let me give an example. Say I am a e-commerce company. I'm an e-commerce company. Let us say I'm Flipkart. As Flipkart, I collect lot of detail of my customer. What and all details I collect? I collect their usernames. I collect their addresses. I collect their debit card details. The payment details, what you store? Your debit card 16-digit number, CVV number, expiry period, all those details I store. I also store details about what type of product they might be interested in, their browsing history, all information also I'll store. So this data is huge. So where do I store it? If I store entire data in my private cloud, it is huge amount of data. I don't want to spend lakhs and crores of rupees on all the data. So what will I do is very sensitive information, I will store it in my private cloud. What are the sensitive information? For example, their bank account details, their debit card details, that information I will store it in my private cloud. And their browsing history and all the other details, I will store it in the public cloud. So because public cloud is cheaper and private cloud is costly, public cloud is less secure, private cloud is more secure. So the sensitive information, I'll store it in the private cloud. General information, I'll store it in the public cloud. So hence the name is hybrid cloud. So who uses hybrid cloud? Who wants to use both private and public uses hybrid cloud. So I hope you're clear with different types of cloud computing environment. All right. So any question, you can put it now. Okay. So I don't see any questions. So brilliant. So either you're understanding or not understanding. So in any case, I'll go for the next question. That is question number 14. Write short note on public cloud, private cloud, community cloud, and hybrid cloud. Again, the same points, just go through each and everything. So again, more secure or less secure, all those things. One thing which I want to explain here is, which you may get confused while you're reading, is something called as SLA, that is service level agreement. So what is service level agreement? Now let us say that I want to store my photos with Google. Now Google is providing me public cloud facility. Now you tell me, what type of agreement will I have? I will have an agreement with Google saying that you cannot use my photo for your purpose. You cannot share it with somebody else. You cannot do that, all those things. So this agreement with Google is something called a service level agreement. This is called a service level agreement. Now you tell me, what type of agreement it will be? Will it be a very strict agreement or whether it will be very liberal agreement? So you tell me, if you're saving your photo, your personal photo in Google, what type of agreement you want to have? General agreement or very strict agreement? Answer is, it is a strict agreement what you're going to have. Why? Because his security is weak. So if something happens to your photo, you want to file a complaint against him. That is where it is very strict SLA what you have. But if it is private cloud, you are a bank and your own people are maintaining the data center, you will not have a very strong SLA with them because you cannot file a case against your own company. So in a private cloud, it is a weak SLA, but in the public cloud, it is a very strong service level agreement what we have. So there is a drawbacks, there is disadvantages of cloud computing. Again, a very basic point that see, disadvantages is there in everything. What is the disadvantage? First one is, for cloud computing, you want internet. Without internet, there is no cloud at all. So if you're storing all photos in the cloud, if the internet is not there, you can't access your photo, you can't access your songs, everything. So all these are the disadvantages, and there are certain other disadvantages also which you can go through it. Okay, so just go through it, and if there is some question, then ask the question. Okay. So QuickBooks, Zoho books are examples for cloud computing. Brilliant. Yes, yes, yes. They are examples of cloud computing. Or else what would I normally do? I would have my own accounting software, install it in my computer, then pass entries, all those things. But with the help of QuickBooks, with the help of Zoho books, I am not even maintaining that accounting software. It is maintained by somebody else. All that I'm doing is opening my browser and passing entries in that particular software. A classic example of cloud computing. A classic example of what is software as a service. So what is software as a service? We will come here. Like, right next question, we are talking about what is software as a service. We will talk about it. One more is, what is the next question? The next question is, uh, okay. Thank you, Anand Kumar. Sir, costing class, please. This is EIS revision. And Narendra, what is grid computing? You just have to go back, and grid computing is already explained. So if you refer, you will understand. I hope you will understand what grid computing is. Okay, so today I don't want to end it at now. I want to complete few more questions. So I want you to stay calm. A few more questions. We will complete fourth chapter. Okay, then you can start revising. Explain the various models for cloud computing environment in brief. So they are talking about models. See, you should not confuse yourself. Whenever they're asking about types, it is hybrid, private, public, community. That is types. Now here they're talking about models of cloud computing. So models. So there are three types of models what we are going to discuss now. One is infrastructure as a service. One is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. Now, what is infrastructure as a service? I will tell you what infrastructure as a service is. I'll ask you a question and you need to tell me whether it is infrastructure as a service or not. The question is, sorry, I'll first tell you what infrastructure as a service is. Infrastructure as a service means somebody who has the infrastructure is giving you the infrastructure so that you don't have to buy the infrastructure. My question is, you are going to cyber cafe, you are going to cyber. Now I don't know whether you people go or not, but when I used to be in my college, until internet was not there, Geo was not there. Internet was there, but Geo was not there. So to access Facebook and all, or some software or play games and all, we used to go to cyber. So if I'm going to cyber, is it infrastructure as a service? Somebody is providing me infrastructure. I don't have to buy the computer. Somebody else is giving the computer. So I am going and using his computer. Is it infrastructure as a service? It is a model under cloud computing. So first thing is, what is cloud computing? Cloud computing means there has to be internet. There has to be internet. So you tell me, going to cyber, is it cloud computing? Is it infrastructure as a service? So for all the people who decided or who thought that, yeah, this is not infrastructure as a service, where is internet coming in here? You're only physically going into the cyber. So then it is not infrastructure as a service. Then what is infrastructure as a service? Again, going back to the basics, I am using my iPad. With the help of iPad, I want to use Windows system. I want to use Windows system. But there is a Windows laptop with Amazon. They want to give it to me. That is an infrastructure. Okay, that is a physical infrastructure what they have. They want to give it to me, but they are not delivering that computer to me. They are not sending me in Amazon and sending it to me. I'm not talking about that Amazon. I'm talking about Amazon Web Services, AWS. So I'll go to AWS website and I will click on virtual machine. Then I will use that Windows system using my iPad. So that is called as infrastructure as a service. Clear? That is called as infrastructure as a service. Now I want to store my, now you tell me, I want to store my photos in Google's hard disk, Google's hard drive. So is there an infrastructure? Yes, there is a Google's hard disk. I am storing my photos there with the help of internet. It is called as infrastructure as a service. Clear? Now network. Now let us say that I'm running a coaching class. I'm running a coaching class and I have my video classes. Now always the students complain, sir, saying that, sir, I have 4G, but still I cannot watch your videos. It is, it is buffering. It is buffering. I can't watch your videos. So what will I do? I will contact one service provider called as network service provider. I will ask him, look, I want you to provide me more bandwidth, so that my students, whenever they click the video, it should directly start playing. There should not be even 1 second of lag.
So that is where in some websites, whenever you're downloading some files, it will download very quickly. Some website, it is way too slow because they have not taken this network as a service. Again, network as a service comes under infrastructure as a service only. So I hope you understood what infrastructure as service means. Rest of the points you can read. Again, they're talking about virtual machines, all those things. Virtual machines, you know, right? What virtual machine says? I'm using my iPad to access Windows. So that is called as virtual machine. In reality, that is not there. Virtual, I'm accessing that machine. Next one is platform as a service. Now, what is this platform as a service? In simple word, platform as a service means somebody is giving me a platform. For example, I'm going to a drawing class. I'm going to a drawing class. My drawing teacher will give me canvas. He will give me paintbrush. He will give me everything, and he will say, draw. Whatever you want to draw, you draw. So this is called as platform as a service. Remember, P, painting, P, platform. So whenever you hear the word platform as a service, you need to remember this painting example. So in platform as a service, there is a service provider who is providing me a platform for what? To paint? No, not to paint, but to build my application, to build my application. Now let us say I want to build one game. I want to build one game because of all lockdown, people are sitting at their home. So I want to build Ludo. Already you play Ludo, but I also want to build another Ludo of my own version. So to build this application, I want certain tools. I want to use some programming languages. I want to use certain platforms, all those things. So there is a service provider who provides this service to me. Wait. Let us not confuse. Let's look practically how it happens. So one second. Wait. Okay. So I open my browser. Okay, let us come out of Pixlr. Okay, I open my browser and what I want to access? Platform as a service. So I'll come here and I'll type something called as Google App Engine. So this is one of the example of platform as a service. So it is App Engine, what I'm opening, what you can see. Okay. So here, look what they're saying. They're saying build high scalable application on a fully managed serverless platform. So what are they providing? They're providing a platform in which I can build my Ludo game. Okay, so what will I do? I will there are certain information. So they are saying, see, just add the code, pay only for what you use. What are the features? Fully. So these are all the features of platform as a service. I can use any language. For example, there are so many languages in which I can create the game. For example, I can use C. Normally, people don't use C to create Android games. I can use Ruby. There are so many languages. I can use all these languages. Java, Node.js. It is flexible. It is fully managed by them, not managed by me. It is powerful application diagnostics, application versioning, traffic splitting. All these are the features. So they also take care of the security. So what do? I click go to console. I click on go to console. So this is how my console will look like. And these are all the features we have. These are all the features. Now, with this particular, this you wouldn't understand. You are a commerce student and you don't have to understand. Look, if you open your income tax book, the software people will not understand. Just like that, you don't have to understand this. You just have to understand that, oh, there is something like this exist. Okay. So this is what platform as a service. So I have to just click on create application and I should be able to create this application. They're asking where do I want to create my server and all other things. Let us not go into detail, but this is what platform as a service is. So Google App Engine is allowing me to create my application. Okay, so I can use different languages, different platforms, and different services, security, everything I can use, which is provided by the Google, which is managed by them, and I can build my application. So that is called as platform as a service. Understood? So one of the advantages is, see, if I am a single person who is developing that software, I can well build it with using my laptop itself. But let us say there are 15 people who are collaborating, who is coming together and building that application. Then they want a platform, because one person in his system, another person does something in his system. It has to be synced together and it should be properly managed. All these things is very simple using Google. Next is software as a service. So software as a service basic example is I don't actually download the software. Instead, I'll just use the software. So I am getting software as a service. For example, now let us say I want to convert one PDF file into Word format. So normally I have to download some application, then I have to pay for that application, then I have to convert it. Olden times. Okay, maybe I would have used Adobe, or maybe I would have used some software called as Nitro PDF, some software to convert PDF to Word. But now I don't want to do all those things. So using my iPad also, I can do that. So let me show how. So I'll go here. This you might be knowing. So I'll come here and simple keyword I'll put what? Convert PDF to Word. And I'll say go. And what will happen? So there are a lot of options what is available to me. So let me go for the first one. I love PDF. So it will ask, see, am I downloading any software, installing some software? Nothing. Everything in cloud. Everything is there in on internet. I'll say select PDF file. So I'll select chapter 1 of EIS. Then they'll say directly convert to Word. So now what happened? It is converted and converting PDF to Word. Okay, some process it will take, and okay, then they're asking download as Word. Now I can directly download the Word to my computer. Okay, so do you want to view all those things? Okay, I'll just cancel it off and let me come back. So this is software as a service. One more example could be, as just pointed out by a student brilliantly, like whether QuickBooks is an example of software as a service. Answer is yes. So let us say I use Zoho Books. So I use Zoho Books for my accounting purpose. So here I'll directly come, open the software, and I will just log into the software and I'll just start passing journal entries. So where all the data are stored? Is it stored in my iPad? Is it stored in my computer, mobile phone? Answer is no. All these things are stored in the cloud. So we studied, there are three things what we have to study. So what are these three things? Different models. Which are the three models? Infrastructure as a service, in which I just get the infrastructure. Example could be AWS. I'm buying a virtual machine and starting use Windows system. One more thing is platform as a service. Somebody else is providing their platform to build some application. Next one is software as a service. Unlimited softwares, gaming software, editing software, or accounting software, taxation software. Everything is a example of different cloud computing and models. Okay, so 16 question is done. If you have some questions, you can put it. I'll just go through the questions. So there's asking, sir, can you explain what is that? Okay, software as a service, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, network as a, wait, okay, we'll explain. One second. Just go through all those points once. Before we go, I'll explain what CAS is also. One second.
Okay, so I've not missed any of the topics. Let's go. Before we go there, okay, what is Chinna Muttulakshmi Rajkumar? What is CAS? That is customer acquisition service. So it is offering communication services to me. So I don't have to spend on communication infrastructure. For example, this class, whatever I'm recording, I'm using Zoom. So Zoom app is a classic example of communication as a service. So they need to ensure that my video is clearly visible to you, my audio is properly audible to you. I can use some other screen sharing and other things. So that is what CAS is. So probably Zoom or Skype, everything is an example of CAS. Okay. So is MCA 21 platform as a service or software as a service? See, MCA 21, uh, see, what is the thing that you can do with MCA 21? Now, it is definitely not a platform as a service because you cannot use it to build an application per se. But as far as is it a software as a service, I would say it is a software as a service because you can use MCA 21 website to take some data from some director data, some company data. So it could be an example of software as a service. But I'd say it is more or less, it is a portal. It is a portal where you put the data and you get back the data. Again, if it has to be classified as something, it will be software as a service. It won't be platform as a service. So that question, let us go to the next concept. That is, what is mobile computing? Now, again, see, mobile computing, now when we discuss, always there is a confusion why this question is there. Same thing, banking and what is mobile banking, e-commerce and what is m-commerce, that is mobile commerce, and what is cloud computing and what is mobile computing. See, mobile computing was a very big thing 10-15 years back, because till then what people understood is to use internet you had to have a very fixed lines. Okay, all those telephone lines, broadband connecting to system, then you're using it. Then the technology started changing. So all those things which you could do with the fixed line, you can also do while you're traveling from one place to another. You can use your mobile phone, ipad, laptops, and you can carry it wherever you want and still do everything which earlier days only fixed lines could do. So all this cloud computing using your mobile devices becomes mobile computing. It is not a huge technology per se, but before 10-15 years it was a huge technology, but now it is there in our syllabus, so it is that we need to learn it. So mobile computing is nothing but you're using portable devices, mobile devices, to do the computing activity. Pretty simple. Then again, all the benefits of cloud computing comes here. So what are the components of mobile computing? So there is a hardware, there is your mobile phone, there is a laptop, there is tablet, everything. So there is a hardware component and there is a software component. Okay, so there is a software, you're using application, you're using WhatsApp, you're using let us say YouTube, you're using different things. So there is hardware, then there is software, then there is operating systems. As software only, there is operating system as well as application software what we're using. Then there is communication, that is there is a network to communicate from your mobile device to the cloud. How does mobile computing work? Again, you should be knowing how mobile works better than me. But list of limitations of mobile computing, that is, compared to fixed lines, that is insufficient bandwidth, it is quite slower. But maybe after introduction of 4G, it is at par, or after introduction of 5G, it is at par. Now, security standards. When working mobile, one is dependent on public network requiring careful use of VPN. That is, if I'm using in my private network, or if it is I'm using my systems and my system is connected to another system with the help of one network wire, it is very safe. Like, it is very safe. But when I'm doing wireless communication, any person sitting around me can sniff the information about which we are going to discuss when we are revising third chapter. But it is less secure. That is where I'm going to use more VPN and other things. Then power consumption, we know that your mobile phone is always into charging, so it consumes more amount of battery. Then there is a transmission interference, so communication is not very smooth depending on your network. Potential health hazards, that is what your mother always says, don't keep the phone next to you, some brain problems, other things, all those things. Human interface with device, if they are elder people have very thick finger, fat finger, then they may have some typing problems. All those things are the disadvantages of mobile computing. Okay, so moving on, we are talking about where we are talking about write short notes on concept of green computing. So again, green computing is not a technology. It is not a technology at all. It is just a concept.
For whenever you go to give some speech and allocation, you have to talk about green computing. It is not a technology. So green computing means using computer resources in such a way that it is not harmful for the environment. That is what green computing is. So how can you use technology without harming the environment? Maybe you use those computers, those electronic devices which consumes less electricity. Maybe in your company, rather than using electricity, you have to use solar energy. Maybe after a couple of years of usage, when you have to discard your computer, you have to discard in such a way that it is not going to pollute the environment. You have to recycle the electronic parts. Or maybe you should not print more and more papers, more email should be there. So all these things are green computing. So all the points are very general that you have to read, you can read and you can understand it. Again, so the question number 24, mark it as important for examination. Usually that question comes, list few best practices for green IT. So those are the things what you have to write. Now again, 25, question number 25, that is bring your own device, BYOD. Now bring your own device is also not a technology. It is not a technology. It is a practice. Now what is the word? Bring your own device. Simple word. You bring the device at your cost. Let us say I am a chartered accountant. I have my office. Okay. So rather than giving my employees computer, I'll tell you bring your laptop. If I have to give my computer to them, I have to purchase that computer. I have to purchase that computer and give it to them. I have to incur the cost. So I have to incur the cost. Then it is not their computer. So what will they do? All the stuffs, all the articles will come and they will type like, they are literally banging the keyboard. The keyboard will go. If the CPU is not working, they'll kick the CPU and they will make it work. All those things they will do because it is not their device. So they are very reckless, careless. Not in reality, but example. Okay, they're very reckless. So what will I do? I will tell you bring your computer, you bring your laptop while coming to office. So what am I going to do? I'm going to save cost. Save cost how? I'm not spending any money on computer. I'm not paying any money on maintenance. And when it is their laptop, they will not press very heavily. They will press feather light. They will type very gently. So this concept is called as bring your own device. Now, what are the advantages? Advantages for me, I don't have to pay money for hardware acquisition. I don't have to pay money for maintenance. Maybe I can say that you bring your laptop while you're purchasing, I'll contribute 50%, but 50% you have to contribute. Maintenance you have to look after. Antivirus you need to put. All these things, responsibility I can put on them. So that is advantages. What is disadvantages? They are bringing their personal laptop and connecting to my corporate server. So all my data will be copied in their personal computer. Personal computer, they're going to take it home. In home, some guest comes, access their laptop for playing some game, and they have data about my firm. So this is a disadvantages also. So bringing your own device has certain advantages, certain disadvantages. What are the advantages? Cost cutting. Disadvantages, security is going to be the issue. What happens if employee loses his laptop? All the data is gone. How employee has to connect to the system. All those things you have to read. So it's a very simple one, not very technical one that you would understand while reading it. Next is, so is there a question? Okay. So I don't see your question. Okay. Next is, write a short note on Web 3.0. Now, what is Web 3.0? So just like this Rajnikant movies, Robo, then Robo 2.0, Robo. So it is just an improved versions. Okay. So first when Web came, it was Web 1.0. So it was pretty simple. You just go to a website, you just read and you come back. That's it. Just like newspaper, you cannot make any changes. That was Web 1.0. All these people used to write some articles, you refer, you come back. Web 2.0 was something that you could go there, you could read and you could write something. So you could read and you could modify. That was Web 2.0. For example, you go to a blog, you read the blog, you liked it, then you would put a comment. So it is reading also and it is taking your inputs also. So this was something called as Web 2.0. Okay, so it was an improved version of Web 1.0. Then now what we are living is something called as Web 3.0, also called as semantic web. In short, the internet is as equally smart as us or even more smart than us. For example, if you just open your Android phone and if you say hello Google, who is the Prime Minister of India, it would tell Narendra Modi. And if you could ask what is his age, then it will tell his age. Now in the second question you did not ask whose age, but you said what is his age. The system understood when you referred his, you are also referring to the previous question. So system is becoming more smarter. Okay, that is something called as Web 3.0. Example could be when I open my Facebook page, what I see is different from what you see. When I open my Instagram page, what I see is different from what you see. When I open my YouTube and YouTube recommendation, what I get is different from what you get. So these are all the example of Web 3.0. So Web 3.0 uses artificial intelligence, it uses machine learning, it uses so many other technologies to provide you a customized web page. Okay, so the web page what you see is different from what others see. So this is something called as Web 3.0. All right. So that is where we complete question number 27, a brief discussion, then you will understand it. Next is something called as question number 28, that is write a short note on Internet of Things. What is IoT? Now Internet of Things is also very simple concept. Earlier days, long back, humans would talk to humans, no technology. Then came a place where humans were talking to devices. Humans were talking to devices. Okay, I am talking to my laptop. I'm giving the instruction like print the page, print the page. Humans are talking to computer and computer would print it. Okay, or else I would give any other instructions, computer would receive. Now, from human talking to human talking to devices, now devices are talking to devices. That is called as Internet of Things. Things are only talking. For example, let us say all these Tesla cars, uh, self-driving cars. So here you are not telling the device, you are just allowing the device to drive on its own. So device is receiving inputs from the road and it is driving on its own. Example of Internet of Things. Or a simple example could be, let us say that let us say you're using Apple Watch. You're using Apple Watch, and there are certain health settings what you do. And let us say that you're also not you. Let us say your friend who is also a heart patient. So there is a setting in which if his heartbeat goes below some level, his watch will directly call an ambulance, or his watch will directly call the concerned people, or it will directly intimate the doctor. So here he is not calling the doctor, he is not calling the ambulance, it is his watch who is calling the ambulance or the doctor. So this is called as Internet of Things. Or one more example would be, you're using water purifier, and water purifier, let us say that it is due for service. It is due for service. So water purifier is automatically sending message to the service people saying that come and service me. You are not sending. Let us say you're using smart fridge. So smart fridge, normally you keep 6 tomatoes in your fridge. Let us say there is only 2 tomatoes. Fridge understands that tomatoes are not there. It will directly call the grocery people. All these things, technologies are coming. So the next generation is going to be Internet of Things. Okay. So there is going to be smart house, smart fridge, smart washing machines. Everything is smart. Only humans are getting slightly dumb. So next they're talking about what is artificial intelligence and what is machine learning. I guess that is the last question of this particular chapter. See, normally AI and machine learnings are, people think they are same. Okay, so there is slight difference. They interlap with each other, but there is a slight difference. Artificial intelligence is computer computer thinking as humans. Okay, that is what artificial intelligence. I said, when you say, what is the name of who is the Prime Minister of India and what is his age, computer is understanding, it is thinking like human, it is processing the natural language. That is called as artificial intelligence. But what is machine learning? Machine learning means you are teaching machine once and machine is replicating that. I'll give an example. Uh, let us say you're watching some YouTube video, okay, some English video what you're watching, and you're finding it difficult to understand. So what will you do? You will go and enable subtitle option, and suddenly YouTube will start showing subtitle. And these subtitles, let us say it is not actually typed by the person who did the video, nor it is typed by somebody employee from YouTube. It is typed by, or it is generated by the system itself. So this is called as machine learning. So you tell the machine the word, let us say word apple can be pronounced as 10 different ways. So whenever somebody else is pronouncing apple, your YouTube will understand, okay, he is saying apple, and it will show subtitle as apple. So this is called as machine learning. So you tell the system once, you tell the software once, you train the software once, then machine will learn on its own. So that is called as machine learning. So this is emerging technologies of your fourth chapter. So what I want you to do from here is, so this is a pretty lengthy class. We have around 1 hour 50 minutes, approximately 2 hours of classes what we had to have a general understanding of this particular chapter. Right after this class, I want you to go through all the concepts what we studied, and today only complete this fourth chapter revision. Okay, at least of the second part what we discussed, completed. Fourth chapter, very very important from your examination, that too from this technology point of view. There will be a question about what is software as a service, what is infrastructure as a service, or example platform as a service, and many other things. There will definitely be a question. For you to answer, you need to have first conceptual understanding. Once you have conceptual understanding, then next step is to the by heart. Okay, so I would never recommend directly go and buy hard, because at the end of the day, there is no point if you just buy hard it. Okay, so first have a conceptual understanding. Next, just conceptual understanding is not enough, because in examination, if you say grid computing is something, maths, two problems and other things, you will not get the marks. You have to write what is there in the notes. So read notes, write and practice. So that's it. So before I go off, I just want to take if there is any question. So they're asking business application of mobile computing. So where do we use mobile computing? See, wherever, let us say I have a business, and I am giving my employees mobile phone or some devices. Simple example, let me give it to you. Let us say uh, these people, I am a FMCG company. Let us say I'm ITC. Okay, so I sell this soap, some food items, biscuits and other things. So I send my people to different shops. So they will go to that shop and take the requirement from the shopkeeper. That shopkeeper will say, I want 10 soaps, 120 biscuits, that this cold drinks and other things. So now normally what happens, they write down in the piece of paper, then they come back, then they give it to YTC, then they send the goods to them. So there is a lot of time gap. So now what they have mobile device with them. So they'll go on taking order in their mobile application. So in their device, it's a portable device, rather than writing in a piece of paper. The moment they click submit, the data will be uploaded here and they can communicate. Same way, whenever this Amazon is delivering it to you, same way they'll come and they take your signature, or everything is, they use mobile phone to, or mobile devices to give the services to you. Very simple point. Is Indigo Learn is using bring your own device while coming YouTube live, so that faculties are using their own devices and using Indigo Learn page is an example. I'd say it is not an example of BYOD per se. It is an example of staying at home. So Indigo Learn is not asking us to bring the device to Indigo Learn. They're just asking use whatever the device what you have. If it is possible, they would have given their device to us. Please tell me IPCC weightage chapter, sir. This weightage and all should not be a part of this particular video. Simple thing, every chapter will come for around 10 to 12 marks. Simple. Okay, so study every question as this question is going to come for your examination. So I think there is no other questions. Uh, so we'll catch up for some other chapter. Till then, keep reading. Reading is important. Okay, bye.